What's going on, guys? I'm Mike Romaine from SuperheroJack.com, the place where fitness meets everything nerd and pop culture. Today on this How To Tuesday, I want to talk about how to be more lax with your calorie counting, how to be more lax with your macro counting, calorie counting, however you want to phrase it. We're going to be talking about what you need to pay attention to and what you don't necessarily have to pay attention to. Whether it's losing fat or gaining muscle, there are specific things that you could do to make it a little bit easier on your actual tracking. Before I get into that, I just want to say if you usually come here to talk about book club or any of the normal announcements at the beginning of How To Tuesday, those will be now on What's Up Wednesday once per month. So head back to What's Up Wednesday for the sit-up challenge, for the book club announcement, and for any other announcements that will take place there. Even my pop holes, everything that I'm doing throughout the weeks and the months will take place in What's Up Wednesday, so you guys can be up to date with that. And that lets us jump directly into it. So let's crack the monster, cue the music, and do it. Alright, so how can you be more lax with your calorie counting? One thing that I want to talk about is the fact that it's crucially important to stay above or under your calories depending on if you're trying to gain or lose weight. If you're gaining weight, you are in a surplus. If you're losing weight, you're in a deficit. If you're trying to gain weight, you have to be in a surplus. If you're trying to lose weight, you have to be in a deficit. Simple as that. That's straight off the bat. Regardless of what you're doing, a lot of the times I tell people start with the superhuman diet, which is much, much more restrictive than just plain calorie counting. But regardless of those restrictions, you still have to be in a deficit or you still have to be in a surplus depending on what your goal is. So that goes without saying. But there are some things to make it a little bit easier on you. So for example, we always want to hit our protein goal. We use specific calculators within our programs that'll program you an exact protein count, and you always want to hit that because if you're cutting weight, you still want the protein goal to help you retain muscle, and if you're gaining weight, you definitely want the protein goal because you want to be able to put on as much muscle as possible and keep it in like a lean bulk, a clean bulk, which would have you focusing in on staying in a slight surplus and hitting your protein goal. Now, I have done a video on how to gain and lose the right type of weight, so you don't want to be in too much of a surplus and put on fat on top of the muscle, or too much fat, as I should say. There's always going to be a little bit of fat gain, but if you're going way over your surplus, if you're eating like 1,000 to 1,500 plus calories over your surplus, over your maintenance level in your surplus, I should say, you are going to put on extra fat for no reason. You could keep it a little bit cleaner and stay just like 250 to 500 calories over every single day. Same goes for a deficit. I talked about how if you are trying to be in a deficit and you're way too far under, 1,000, 1,500 plus calories under, your body doesn't know that you're just trying to cut the fat off of it. It's going to take from wherever it can to get those extra calories, so you are going to eventually start cutting muscle off, and you do want it to be a much slower process. You do want to stay 500, a little bit more than 500 is usually okay, especially if you do have a lot more fat storage. You could pull off 500 to 1,000 calories under per day, and that depends on the person, obviously. Now, all of that is just a refresher. There are more videos on that if you guys want to go through the How To Tuesday playlist and even the Level Up playlist, but what I want to talk about is how to be more lax. So, if you notice, I talked about having to be under or over our calories and hitting our protein goal. So those are two things that we could really focus into. Now, being more lax with your counting actually comes with counting calories for a longer period of time. So for example, I've always talked about my go-tos on how I eat specific foods, whether you guys have seen me eating Chipotle or chicken teriyaki and rice or my waffles or whatever it is, my main foods, I know exactly what those calories are. I know my Chipotle bowl has 1,000 calories in it. I know if I have 2 Eggo waffles, it has 180 calories. I know these things by heart, so it's easy to say, okay, 50 grams of protein later on is 2 scoops of protein. Double scoop protein shake is 50 protein, 240 calories. I know that's going to be in my macros. So I'm more aware of these things, and I'm more lax with my counting because I know where things fit, and it just comes with that over time. Now, that is just going to come from calorie counting and being more aware of what food has in it, but if you want to be more lax with your calorie counting right off the bat, there are things you could focus on. Those are the two things that I've already talked about. Hitting your protein and hitting either under or over your calorie goal. And then you could just let your carbs and fat fall into place based on what you're craving, whatever your cravings are. I could have more fats, I could have more carbs. Depends on how I'm feeling, what my body is craving. I tend to have carbs and fats more intuitively, and that's when I'm being more lax with my calorie counting. A lot of the times when I eventually put them in and I see where I've left off at the end of the day, they are falling in place fairly well. But you do not have to be exact with your carbs and your fats. You can be a little bit more lenient with those. Just try to hit your protein, go a little bit over if you can. If you're 10 grams under, it's not the end of the world, but work on hitting your protein, work on staying under or over your calories. depending on if you want to gain or lose weight. And that's how you could be more lax with your calorie counting. I know it could be a little bit daunting when you really haven't memorized any of the counts at first and you're literally typing in every single meal, and maybe a lot of the times you have to eat out a lot. That could be daunting. But when you're eating out, you do have to be aware of sneaky calories, because a lot of times people really, really believe they're under calories, but they're somehow gaining weight, and it's because of these calories that we're not fully aware of, that we're not tracking. So there are times when you're eating out, you do have to be more aware of that. You do have to track those things, but there are ways to make your tracking a little bit easier for you. So I wanted to do this quick video. I know it's a little quick, but I think it will help a lot of people. I think it will not only clear things up for people, but it will also make tracking a little bit easier. So if you like this video, smash the thumbs up button, subscribe to the channel, and as always, thanks for watching.